Let's talk to Richard Tice, because I'm sure he can't believe his ears either. Richard, very good morning to you.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mike. And I've got an idea. I think I might apply for the vacancy of Secretary of State for Transport. I've got a bold, radical two-point plan, Mike. Firstly, I would, if I was in that job, scrap HS2, which would save about £50 billion, so we could afford the winter fuel allowance for our wonderful pensioners. Then secondly, I would scrap the IHT farmers tax, the grief tax for farmers. And then thirdly, I think what I would do is I would use the Eurostar trains and have a sort of shuttle service going back into France full of asylum seekers. I think this would be a good way.
Sounds good to me. But I'm sorry.
I think we'd save tens of billions of pounds. Do you think I'll get the job?
I don't think so, Richard. I'm sorry to break it to you, but Starmer's only interested in hiring convicted fraudsters and criminals. So unless you've got some kind of conviction that you could offer up as by way of an incentive, he's not. You know, the thing that I find staggering about this, right? We'll get on to immigration in a minute. Is that Keir Starmer knew that she was a convicted fraudster, and he still gave her the job. I mean, what sort of maniac is he? And now that we've all decided that we've discovered that she was a convicted fraudster, she's out of a job.
It is quite extraordinary, isn't it, that he should have carried on with appointing Louise Haigh, given what has now come out.
Yeah.
Just remarkable. Not a very good look in a cabinet position, but there we are. We've seen so much incompetence, naivety within this government, just within, 4.5, 5 months.
Yeah.
Nobody can believe the chaos that is descending. And yeah, it's Friday morning. I mean, maybe she listened to your advice in the first 10 minutes of your show, Mike.
Well, I think they did. I mean, my producer Christian has said to me, this is the fastest result we've ever had. You know, I started saying this woman has to resign. It's absolutely untenable. I said it at 6:05. By 17 minutes past 6, she was gone.
That's the power and influence that Talk Radio and Mr. Graham on Morning Glory has, clearly.
I mean, it is extraordinary, isn't it? Let's talk about immigration figures, though, right? Because yesterday, I don't understand why they got it wrong, but when we broke the news yesterday morning at 9:30 that 728,000 was the number for net migration up to the year up to June 2024, it turns out the Office of National Statistics had actually got it wrong, and it was actually 906,000, which is far closer to the previous year, and proving that almost 1 million people now per year are coming in net to this country.
Let me just clarify. So actually, the 906,000 is the revised estimate for the year to June 2023.
Yeah.
Which previously, when they first came out a year ago with that number, it was about 740,000. So they've been, 670,000. So they increased it. They revised it upwards by some 230,000 people, about 35%. That's for the year ended 2023. This year, at 728,000 to June 24, an increase on their first estimate from a year ago, they tried to present as a fall. And the Tories, in their woeful, complete spin and misrepresentation, tried to claim credit for a fall that actually turned out to be an increase.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing is utterly mind-boggling.
And also, Keir Starmer, and I'm not sure, have we got the Keir Starmer clip from yesterday? Can we play that? Yeah, let's have a look at it. I can't understand what he says here.
We will publish a white paper imminently which sets out a plan to reduce immigration. The Migration Advisory Committee is already conducting a review. And where we find clear evidence of sectors that are over-reliant on immigration, we will reform the points-based system and make sure that applications for the relevant visa routes, whether it's the skilled worker route or the shortage occupation list, will now come with new expectations on training people here in our country. We will also crack down on any abuse of the visa routes. For far too long, we've been casual about malpractice in our labour market, which sends a clear signal overseas that we're a soft touch. Well, no more.
I don't understand a word of that. I'm sorry. I mean, what's he talking about?
Listen, I actually do. It's word salad, waffle, garbage.
Yeah.
And the British people know that means that nothing will change. The truth is that net 2.2 million people have come here in the last 3 years, that we know about, I actually think the number is far higher. You can just sense the increase in the population just walking around the streets, trying to get a GP appointment, trying to get a hospital appointment, trying to rent a home. The country is bursting at the seams, and this has to stop. And the only party that's going to stop it, with the only net zero that we want in this country, net zero immigration, is Reform UK. And that, Mike, is why we're soaring in the polls. We're up at 22% in a national poll yesterday because people trust us on this critical issue of immigration.
And you had a big press conference yesterday where you talked about, you know, the large number of members that have now joined the party. You've co-opted Andrea Jenkins to be a mayoral candidate, I think, in Lincolnshire. We're going to be speaking to her later on in the show. And an awful lot of people are starting to talk about the possibility. And I know that it might sound mad at the moment, but it actually doesn't to me, because I was the one that predicted Donald Trump would win in America both times when everybody else said he wouldn't. People are starting to talk very seriously now, Richard, about Nigel Farage becoming the Prime Minister in 2029.
Well, it's very clear, bluntly, the country's in a terrible state, the country's broken, and if people want to save Britain and make it great again, then reform needs to lead the next government. And you've now got the situation where you've got three political parties all polling in the sort of the mid 20% range, plus or minus. I don't think we've ever seen that before that I can recall in my living memory. I think that's a sign that serious change is happening. We're catching up with the Labour Party, we're catching up with the Conservative Party, and it's a genuine, proper choice for voters. And I think that's a very good thing for democracy.
And what do you think happens to Labour over the next, say, 6 months? Because we saw that petition that came out. It's already reached 2.8 million signatories. It could reach 3 million. Doesn't really matter here, there or anywhere. At the end of the day, 3 million, close to 3 million people is an awful lot of people. It seems to me that they are rudderless, that they have absolutely no clue about what to do, about any subject that they seem to be embarking upon. We've got the Chagos Islands disaster. We've got Rachel Reeves' budget, which is an absolute and utter, a pig in a poke. I call
her budget the blunder budget.
It is. Well, because no part of it is working, right?
Chaos.
Yeah, I mean, the Bank of England doesn't like it. Farmers don't like it. Pensioners don't like it. Businessmen don't like it. Hospitality owners don't like it. Ordinary workers don't like it because they're not getting pay rises, they're getting laid off. It's a complete and utter show of what can only be described as SH1T, without me saying the word. And yet they continue to sort of clatter around from one ridiculous move to another. And now this morning we've got the resignation of a cabinet member for being a fraudster. I mean, I can't imagine where we will be in February.
The good news, Mike, is that on January the 6th, the first day back for Parliament after the Christmas recess, that petition is going to be debated in the Houses of Parliament, and that will be a significant moment. And the idea that a newly elected government with the biggest majority, almost in living memory, with the lowest vote share, should be within 6 months being forced to have that debate in the Houses of Parliament is quite extraordinary. And well, let's see what happens. It won't result in them calling a general election, of course, we all know that. But what it does is it forces them to try and defend their woeful record. And the most important thing amongst all of the mad noise that you just referred to is that we are getting poorer. With mass immigration, with no growth whatsoever, it's a simple mathematical calculation that a 16-year-old can do. We are getting poorer per person, per month, per quarter, per year, and nothing's going to change. And the quality of life is going down, and we have to have a radical change of direction, a massive, massive U-turn. If we carry on like this, I fear that this country is going bust before the next general election in 4 or 5 years' time.
Right. And maybe we can't afford that, and so maybe we have to intervene between now and then in order to fix the country. Let me ask you one final question, Richard. What news, if any, on the Manchester Airport thuggery? You guys launched a private prosecution just a week or so ago against the people responsible for attacking the police. Have you got any updates for us?
Well, it's an ongoing process. Sadly, it's going to take many months. We're waiting to hear formally and properly in detail from both the CPS and from Greater Manchester Police, but our team are on it, and we will just keep pushing and pushing and pushing to make sure that justice is done, which is what anybody would expect. And that's the latest update. And you've got Andrea Jenkins on the show later.
Yeah.
Just, thrilled that she's come over to Reform. She's going to be a brilliant mayoral candidate in Greater Lincolnshire. And I think with all our efforts and help, we think she can win.
Tremendous stuff. Good to talk to you. Richard Tice, MP, Deputy Leader of Reform UK. Thank you very much indeed.